All right, the root center. It is a center of pressure and energy, right? We talked about the head center being pressure, but not energy. The Ajna is awareness. Now we have something new. We have pressure plus energy. The root is the adrenal glands. It is the pressure to physically move. And this is where stress comes from, right? Stress in the world. So we know we have anxiety and we have stress. And this is what the plane of being human is, right? So what do we do with it? We need to let it pass through our windows, pass through our life, get out of the way of it, not try to change it or anything like that, but see it for what it is. It's information. So the root center is that pressure to physically move. It is ambition. It is drive. It is what actually evolves humans, right? Because it's our pressure to physically get up and move. Otherwise, we would maybe just not even exist because we'd be just sitting down all the time. It's the pressure to get going. What is stress? Well, stress is actually from a time constraint, right? So we get stressed and we're like, time. Oh no, I don't think I have enough time or enough resources or whatever it is that to do this thing. So now I have to hurry. This is why it's the adrenal glands. It's that pumping pressure to move. So all those gates in there are specific different pressures. So even if you have it undefined, you may have some buttons in there that you're operating from incorrectly. If you have it undefined, it also means that your ambition and drive is not yours. It's conditioned, right? You're not here to live your life by your ambition. I have to go and achieve this, or I have to, whatever these pressures are for you. But it means that you are an empath, if we want to say that, somebody who can understand what pressure is. The undefined root is almost like sitting on a hot plate, or the way that I think about it is it's kind of like someone spraying you with a fire, right? So it's like this energy, maybe living your life like, oh God, I'm being pressured to move. So what can happen is you might be rushing through your life, trying to hurry up because of the field of time, really this pressure, and that's incorrect. So if you have an undefined root, the first thing you can do is slow down, take a deep breath. Are you holding your breath? How's your adrenal glands? Are you drinking a lot of coffee and stimulants to use that pressure because that pressure is addictive? Are you a workaholic? Are you a stressaholic? Because what happens is you start to think, because your pressure is inconsistent, that you need it all the time in order to move, in order to achieve, in order to whatever. You're not here to do that. You actually don't handle stress the same way that other people do. There's only two things that you can do with stress and this pressure energy, the fire, right, that you're feeling. Is it healthy? And if it's healthy, then what happens is you get the gift of being someone who's very fast and you can get a lot of things done. If it's in balance, hopefully. The other thing is, if it's not healthy, if you're really feeling like you're caught on fire from this pressure and it's making you imbalanced because you're rushing, right? You might be dropping things. Now you're driving fast. Now you're getting in accidents, like physically, like there can be things that are problems.
All right. So if you're breaking your phone screens and you're getting speeding tickets and you're running red lights, and I'm talking to myself, it could be that you have an undefined root chakra, right? Is that kind of how and yes. I'm wondering how this related, like having the open head and the open, and all.
You're living in a pressure sandwich.
It felt like a pressure cooker for sure.
Yep. Yeah, this is one of, like, when I see an undefined root in a chart, which all charts are perfect, right? Your chart is perfect. And when you learn to operate with it, it's a huge gift, right? But when we're not aware of that, the undefined root center people, which mine's defined, but the undefined people, I see all this pressure that's like really unnecessary. It's like, whoa, and because it's amplifying. I have a defined root. So people are even amplifying me. And I'll notice too, especially when I first started doing this stuff, because my root's defined, right? And why do we have adrenaline? It's to hunker down and get through things, right? So that pressure for me is very consistent. I have a specific kind of pressure because mine's defined. And when I was doing sessions early on, I would notice that the feedback loop between an undefined and a defined center. So if I start feeling this pressure, like, oh, I'm feeling like they want me to rush.
Let's just use an example with you and I. So
Yeah.
yours is defined, mine is undefined. And I am like looking at the aerial view, right? And trying to pull things together. And I try to send that to you. Like I'm trying to pressure you, wait, hey, are you coming on board? Are you doing? And you're just like not going to be pressured, right? You're
Yeah.
consistent. So that's where one can bounce off the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes when I'm in sessions too with undefined root, and the way that all the undefined defined can work is like, so my root energy, if I'm really using this pressure, right, where I'm like, all right, I'm really going through this and we're using this energy to hunker down, depending on the person or if they're whatever they're feeling from it, now it feeds back to me and now I feel more pressure, right? So this is kind of how it can work.
So when you actually stop it and don't allow it to bulldoze you, then that brings me back to my center.
Yes. And normally the way that because you need to be responsible with your defined centers as well, right? So if I'm not responsible with my root, I can intentionally stress people out. That's not cool, right? We can do that with all of our centers. So what I try to do and what I feel, especially in sessions or like with you and I, if I feel that pressure to rush, I slow down. Mm-hmm. And I try to relax and
it's kind of like when you have an animal that's crazy, right? There, and you calm down, they calm down.
Yep. And it is almost like instant. It's like, okay, because you're just feeling my energy. You're reflecting back to me my root. And the thing about the white centers being the windows, but then also the amplifiers, it's like a speaker coming out of the vehicle that's like a bullhorn, and but it's also distorted. So your people were receiving through our white areas, or the mind is interpreting that input, and then it's being blasted back out, but not clearly, right? It's a little bit.
Is that what you were feeling coming back from me?
It's just that's just how the white centers work. Like for everyone, like we're all doing that with all of our white centers, so we can be more aware of it. So are you rushing? Are you able to take a deep breath? Are you operating from ambition and drive and motivation and all these things to succeed or whatever it is?
So real.
I know.
I want you to know that. It seems like such a big deal.
Yeah, your ambition and drive, for anyone who has an undefined root or open root, is not yours. There's a lot that I can say about this too. I think we need to spend a couple more minutes on the root because it is so important. Undefined roots, you may be laying in bed at night, not able to sleep because you feel like you didn't get enough done. There is an addiction to piling on your plate in order to create that pressure that you believe that you need, which is why we drink all the stimulants. We become workaholics, adrenaline junkies, stressaholics.
This is why busyness is so tempting. Mm-hmm. To become busy, to think that you're productive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I've seen people that like have transitioned out, like once they know this and then they transition, and because naturally who you are, if you're undefined in your root, is calm, cool, and collected. Like this is not even your energy. And this, I believe, is also where ADD comes from, which I don't really believe like, oh, ADD is a problem. But imagine sticking a kid that has an undefined root in a classroom with all these other roots, and there's no coping. There's no like, this child is different, right? A lot of people have an undefined root, but you're really just bouncing off other people's energy and taking on their pressures and then trying to do, right? You would be the person in an office, if all the employees were given out tasks, you would be the first one probably to do it because you would feel this pressure until it gets done. So what does this mean? This is a really important part about this. You need to be in charge of timeframes and deadlines. Because the problem that happens here when we operate off of stress as our drive and decision-making, whatever, is that we get thrown off balance. And so, especially for people that have an undefined root, because the root is also about boundaries. So if you have any like boundary issues, or you can't say no to things, or, maybe you're saying yes to a lot of stuff because there's this pressure, everyone needs me, what do I do? This is something that you want to understand about. So you have to be in charge of the time frames and deadlines, because you say yes to something, now all of a sudden you feel this pressure. Oh shit, they said I need to have it done by tomorrow. oh God, now I'm rushing and I'm imbalanced, right?
Are we
Um,
less likely to get things in late? Are we more the timely ones?
mm, you would be a person probably, or like undefined root people, they say is like you wait till the last minute to pack your bags for a trip.
Linda was saying,
But
I renewed my license yesterday, which was the deadline, which I didn't even know, but she was like, nothing like waiting till the last minute.
yeah, but when you have a task and it's like you might get it done really quickly, but the problem is your adrenal glands, you're burning a candle at both ends in your body,
Okay.
you know.
So when you said if you have an open route, you're probably the one in the office, like doing. But I took it as like, no, I was the kid in the classroom who was always at the office. I was always at the principal's office. Like I was
Oh
always
yeah.
being to the office.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, it can disrupt your behavior if you don't really know. It's just because you're picking up on all this. So, what do we know? Just one more thing here, stress, like it's about time. So, be in charge of your time frames and deadlines, and notice if you're feeling imbalanced, and are you trying to hurry up to be free of the pressure? Because as soon as we're done with this, guess what? There's another pressure. It is futile. You cannot operate that way. And it's really not healthy. So, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about the root for like
Use
hours.
Danielle as an example. She has a defined route. It's the same all the time. She does it right, kind of thing. It's so interesting how we can bring this up and use the analogy of other people, and it makes so much sense. It does for me.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Is that it for this one?
Yeah, that's it for this one.
Right.